Good afternoon. My name is Olivia Kingrey. I'm a marketing assistant at the Division of Continuing Studies. On behalf of the Rutgers Online Learning Conference, I'm delighted to introduce Derek Shendell from the NJ Safe Schools program at the Rutgers School of Public Health. We're pleased to have them present Rapidly Enabling Online OSHA10 General Industry for NJ Educational Professionals. During the presentation, please use live Q&A or discussion to ask any questions of the presenter. At the end of each presentation today, there will be a short survey displayed. Any feedback you can provide is greatly appreciated.
Okay, great. Thank you for the introduction. Thanks for allowing us to present. It's just going to be me today, but some of you may have gone to presentations by my two co-authors and team colleagues, Marianne and Lauren. This is about one of several trainings we run in New Jersey, collaboration of agencies we're going to go over. This one is OSHA10 for General Industry, and we're going to share with you what we had to do over the course of the pandemic and use some basic questions following the outline that we learned starting in kindergarten or first grade. So we presented this in the Evolve track because the first important thing is to know who and how. So this was possible because of a partnership that's in place and has been in place for a long time between the School of Public Health at Rutgers and our Safe Schools program, and an alliance that's been formally signed multiple times at this point across multiple administrations of the federal government that combines state and federal agencies serving New Jersey, which at the federal level means we're part of Region 2. And also one of our other centers at the School of Public Health, now known as the Center for Public Health Workforce Development. Some of you may have also taken courses there when they were the Office of Continuing Professional Ed, as well as another office called Public Health Practice. But now they are one center, separate from the school, and also separate from the Office of Continuing Professional Ed. So the next question becomes, why? Well, I think we all know why this had to be done. If you follow the timeline from a state of emergency being declared in New Jersey that has been renewed every 30 days since March 9th, and while things were maybe identified at the federal level, the formal acknowledgement wasn't until March 13th, and that was within days of the formal global pandemic declaration by WHO. So we knew very quickly, even as Rutgers was planning its campus to shut down for only work at home for most people starting March 17th, we had to transition our entire program that serves the secondary schools of New Jersey. When? So sure. So the when, so hopefully people can see me 2 inches better. So the when is, we had basically 2 months to figure this out. So we serve the public schools of New Jersey, as well as charter schools, as well as private schools for students with special healthcare needs. Anybody with an approved program in one or more of the 16 career clusters. So we were able to accomplish this transition from a course that was in person with a short online asynchronous component to be virtually online as 3 components I'm about to go over in 2 months, so that people could take this from late May through early August, and again in October, and now again throughout the current second half of the public school year, and then eventually in the next school year as well. So the what is those 3 components. This course is one of several required in the code under New Jersey law if you're going to be a supervisory level teacher or an administrator that still has teaching and supervisory level responsibilities, which does happen many times in smaller districts as well as the county vocational technical districts. So this course now has evolved to be 3 components. The first part, Career Safe, is one of the few approved vendors in the country from the US Department of Labor, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. I will show you later, we actually ran a peer-reviewed evaluation of all the options that were potentially available for teachers and their students, and published our results of a test of the one we thought was best, which was Career Safe with respect to the students in general industry, with partners down in Camden County, one of our larger county districts. We also used Rutgers Canvas, which is our current learning management system for the asynchronous portion still, and then we felt we needed a live session. Now, we use WebEx because the New Jersey agencies to this day are not allowed to use Zoom. So we use WebEx for this course, and you may have heard earlier this afternoon that we use Microsoft Teams or WebEx for the other courses, depending on the partner agency. So before I go into some of the details and show you parts of those course components, we also have an evaluation, and this was the number of people that took the course with us between late May and early August. We exclude the small group of what are known as New Jersey's Expand grantees from October. So these 73 did everything online, and then there were another 8 people that did it in October as part of a smaller extra grant group in advance of the current school year's offerings that started January 2021. Overall, I think people were quite happy with what we were able to do to go from in-person to online. There are always a few that have some issues or that made some suggestions, and we've tried to improve on that, in part by having an email and an email reminder. And we're always, trying to improve our overall preparation. But if there's only 1 or 2 people that aren't happy with something, that usually means in the teaching world, you're doing the best you can and overall a good job. Nothing is perfect. We also have similar evaluations that are ongoing for the current school year. And so we will, of course, combine things between the 2 years since the pandemic is ongoing. Before I switch the shared screens, I just want to point out some websites of what I'm about to show you. So to know more about CareerSafe, and again, this isn't an advertisement for CareerSafe. We based our decision on a peer-reviewed evaluation that we did only for the general industry and only with respect to students who are being supervised by teachers and administrators in public schools or private schools for students with special healthcare needs. This vendor is one of the approved vendors nationally if you would like to take this or any of the other vendors, depending on your budget, for adults, including for agriculture and construction. So I'm going to show you the outline as well as how our outline had compared to this when we did things in person in a moment. In addition, I'm going to preview our 2-hour course from Rutgers Canvas, just show you the outline mode, and it gives you the individual page summary descriptions. And I'm also going to show you the live session evaluation. We use a company called PsychData. It's something that I've been using for survey research and our state code-based injury surveillance. And if this is something you're interested in versus using SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics or RedCap or any of the other good programs out there, of course, you can take a look at it. This is something my program used at Georgia State University, and I continue using it since I'd already conducted IRB-approved research in it in Atlanta prior to coming to Rutgers. So I'm going to switch screens. That's my note to Justin. I'm going to be switching the shared screen just so you know to push the next one into the main stage, as they're calling it. So bear with us a few seconds, folks, as that's happening. I know he's doing it. There we go. So I've got a couple of things open to show you. So if you're interested in how we evaluated those courses, this is the abstract to the paper. You can always contact me for an official reprint for academic purposes, or for if you're working in a public-private partnership, I can provide as well, since you're considering the course. But just to flash this up there, it wasn't a major journal for environmental occupational policy. In terms of CareerSafe, the website is this first part. If you're on the website and you go to look at the general industry, you can download this PDF, which are essentially the general outline, and it's called their guide. If I go to page 3, as I suggest in the PowerPoint, what you see here is an overview of the topics that are required by OSHA, and then what are some of the supplemental topics that CareerSafe chose to use for the majority of its population that they're targeting, which is not schools with career technical vocational programs. It is probably the private sector or unions that are serving both public and private contractors and other grantees of the federal government for certain projects. To give you a sense of how our outline typically looked, given that we want to emphasize a few things and put the minimum emphasis on others. For example, this is our agenda for day 1. we only spend half an hour in person for bloodborne pathogens because we know at least once a year, whether it's the fall semester or the spring, all schools in New Jersey are getting a refresher course about bloodborne pathogens and basic first aid. So we cover in our half hour things that are more about bloodborne infectious diseases, such as hepatitis B and C, and other things that may be relevant to school-age populations on and off campus. And we also keep machine guarding to only half an hour, and we also extend the amount of time for personal protective equipment as a result of shortening those other ones, because even before the COVID-19 pandemic, there's clearly an interest in teaching teachers and supervisors to then teach their students more about all the various types of personal protective equipment, or PPE. We also allow a little bit more discussion and interaction, and that's how we come up with the same amount of time. In day 2, we actually are very similar to Career Safe, with the exception of the fact that we shorten only one segment, the one here about confined spaces. And in place, we extended by 15 minutes the workplace violence, and we also extended by 15 minutes the hazard communication. That allows us to do some activities that the teachers and supervisors, if they're administrative level, may be able to do with their students, as well as other teachers in their department that are not yet at the supervisory level. For the 2-hour portion, this is the course in Canvas, and our approach is that we have lessons that serve as modules. So after a brief overview of the course, and each of these links here is actually one page in Canvas. So once you're in the course, you would just go one page to the next. But the way we have it in our outline, which is how we also could share things with the agencies, is to show each page with a title, instead of, say, for example, having a PowerPoint or some other course training outline in person. So each of the lessons have a number of pages, as well as some videos and FAQ links. Those are usually to external sites like Vimeo or YouTube, or to one of our own websites at the Department of Ed, the Safe Schools program, or perhaps another partner agency. And eventually at the end of the 5 lessons, which in total take approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through, there's always an option A or B to do the culminating knowledge check. Option B simply means they can upload a Word document versus doing everything online in a screen. That all depends on people's connectivity and time. And then there's a final course evaluation. They will forever have opportunities to come back and look at reference documents after finishing the course. Most of these things are also available through the Safe Schools program website, the Department of Ed website, and in some cases, the State Labor and Workforce Development website. That's done on purpose so that people can always find certain things very quickly. In addition, if it's a federal resource, it would also be found at the Federal Department of Labor website. In terms of the evaluation, you obviously first have to log into Psych Data. I'm not going to show you my username and password. I have already uploaded a cached screen of 2 ways. So first of all, you can preview the entire survey before you make it live, as shown here. And this will be every single question showing you the page breaks. So what we did for this evaluation, and I will show you the first screen so you know how a user would connect to it through an email link, we can ask people to identify which live session they attended. There were always 2 live session options for each, what we're calling now cohorts for these trainings. So there was the late May group, there was what we'll call the early mid-June group, and the late June group for this course. We actually were able to get everyone in. The August date ended up being the makeup live session. So people may have finished everything else during May or June, but maybe because of their schedule conflicts, they were willing to come in August for the live session to wrap up. And then of course, there's the final page with some questions that are common to all the courses. So how would this look if someone receives the link by email? The first thing they would see would be this page when they clicked on the link. This is under normal educational practices, so we are exempt from the IRB in terms of approval. So this link goes out in a follow-up email and is also put in the chat box at the end of the live session. And this would be exactly the first screen people would see. Now, we do ask people to confirm their first and last name and their email address, because For some of our courses, we email people the certificates of completion as PDFs. For other ones, we must wait until the payment is received, and then we provide a PDF memo that documents they finished, and we send them the original copies of the certificate, which is why we want to verify the most current email. We use the mailing address on file. And then finally, I'm going to unshare this screen and go back. So Justin, I'm just going to go back to the final screen here of the PowerPoint to just wrap up. And that should take a moment once I do that again. So we're actually near the end of the presentation, but as this comes up again, I just wanted to give folks who are attending or maybe listening to this on demand a chance to just see those main web pages one more time. So CareerSafe, again, you can go to their main page, look for general industry, look at the overview or outline guide of the course. And again, it's geared to the private sector and to unions, so some topics may get a little more time than, say, our school version, but overall, this was the most accessible and cost-effective way of giving people OSHA 10, in addition to the parts that we knew we would run based on New Jersey code, the plus portions. We do use Rutgers Canvas, so the teachers and supervisors would get an account in Rutgers Canvas and then also have this link to go to when they were taking that course. And psych data is something you may want to consider in addition to the other competitors. This one is more for research survey purposes and program evaluation purposes. So if you're more interested in just surveys, probably what you're used to with Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey are still potentially preferable. And to wrap up, if you have any questions, this is my email, my team's email, which several people access. And then all the courses we talked about today that were successfully transitioned from in-person to online, combining asynchronous and synchronous formats, are available with short descriptions at this webpage in a matrix format. And from there, teachers and supervisors and sometimes their business offices can enroll one or more people or at least ask follow-up questions, because everything right now is done online. We would not bring any of these courses to the school districts or to any other organizations that want to have a group of people for now, but we have done that in the past, and we'll hopefully see what happens in the 2021-2022 school year. But for now, the Department of Ed are quite happy with the Alliance initiative to get everything online for not just the current school year, but potentially the next one as well. So that is the end of our presentation. I'll see if there's any questions or comments in the discussion or live Q&A, but I'm going to stop sharing at this point because we are done with minutes to spare in case there are questions. Anyone present who has any or comments in the discussion forum, if you're familiar with this course from your own job experience or maybe similar ones to it.
So thank you to Derek Shendell for his talk on rapidly enabling OSHA 10 plus. And it is the end of this presentation. Thank you, everyone.